Tonight, a remedy for the pain of air travel. The government prescribes a decongestant for America's clogged airways. I'm Katie Couric. Also tonight, a Christmas miracle. A family that disappeared after going into the woods for a Christmas tree is rescued alive 3 days later. The first presidential battle in the South. A new poll shows it's tight as a tick in South Carolina between Clinton and Obama. And our special campaign series, Primary Questions. Some voters say they don't feel comfortable supporting someone who's not remained faithful to his or her spouse. Can you understand or appreciate their point of view?
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Good evening, everyone. It's getting more and more crowded up there. With Christmas coming, AAA is estimating that nearly 9 million Americans will be taking to the sky by airplane and perhaps in one case, sleigh. Today, the government announced plans to try to ease the congestion for the holidays and beyond. Here's Bill Plant.
It's been a frustrating year of record-setting flight delays and runway gridlock. Today, the Department of Transportation, pushed by the president, announced a deal to cap flights at one of the East Coast's busiest airports.
Passengers want and deserve more reliability, more dependability in air traffic, and this plan will deliver that to them. Beginning next March, flights in and out of New York's JFK Airport will be limited to 82 to 83 an hour during peak times. The airlines had been scheduling as many as 100 flights an hour. Negotiations are underway to do something similar at Newark Airport in New Jersey. New York's LaGuardia Airport already has limits in place. Why the focus on the New York area? Because 75% of all delayed flights originate in New York. So if you ease the congestion there, you make things better all across the country. The downside is that fewer flights during popular peak hours could mean higher ticket prices.
This is good news if you like shorter delays. It's bad news if you like cheaper fares.
The administration also announced today some help for holiday air travelers over Christmas and New Year's. They plan to open up military airspace on both the east and west coasts, just as they did over the busy Thanksgiving weekend. So now just hope that the weather cooperates. Katie?
Bill Plant. Bill, thank you. In California, a happy and dramatic ending to a story that began with a hunt for a Christmas tree. A father and his 3 children were found alive today, 3 days after they got lost in heavy snowstorms in the woods north of Sacramento. Sandra Hughes has their story.
It was the best possible ending to what could have been a Christmas tragedy. 38-year-old Freddie Dominguez, his 18-year-old son Christopher, 15-year-old daughter Lexi, and 12-year-old Joshua, all in good health and walking off a rescue helicopter after a harrowing 3 nights spent lost in a snowy, icy forest.
It's a little cold. I'm hungry.
The 4 set off on Sunday after church to cut down a Christmas tree. But because they're divorced, Dominguez's ex-wife Lisa Sams didn't know the 4 were missing until the next night. But after the children's schools said they didn't show up, she reported them missing and gathered with family and friends to wait as rescuers set out to look for them in snow as deep as 7 feet and nighttime temperatures well below freezing.
I'm just worried about the cold and the food and making sure that they have enough shelter.
3 nights would pass, but rescuers found the 4 6 miles from the father's truck late this afternoon. They had apparently built a makeshift shelter near a riverbed, wrote the word help in the snow, and were spotted by rescuers. An early Christmas miracle in the mountains of Northern California.
Hey, Pops, how's it going?
Freddie, how do you feel?
I'm glad I'm home. Praise God.
What was it like?
Sandra Hughes, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Thank goodness for that. Now to the presidential race. Republican Mike Huckabee leads in Iowa, and now he's ahead in South Carolina as well. A CBS News poll out tonight shows him 8 points ahead of Mitt Romney for the first in the South primary, just over 5 weeks away. Huckabee has a better than 2-to-1 lead over Giuliani, McCain, and Thompson. Among the Democrats, South Carolina is looking like a toss-up between Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Bill Whitaker reports tonight from Charleston.
Gender helps explain why Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama are neck and neck in South Carolina, but not the way you would think. Obama is leading among Democratic women. Among men,
Hillary.
a reverse gender gap. 39% of women support Obama versus 30% of men. For Clinton, the opposite. And the women propelling Obama from also ran a few weeks ago to contender now? Leaning one way or another?
Yes, I am.
Towards?
Obama.
African American women. They make up 2/3 of black primary voters, and more than half support Obama.
African Americans, while they do have a preference, perhaps for Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton is certainly an acceptable alternative.
Native son John Edwards won here 4 years ago. Now, despite generating real passion,
I'm strongly supporting Edwards.
He's trailing at 13%. At Kitty's Diner in Charleston, where food and political talk are plentiful, the guys in the corner know one reason why Mike Huckabee has jumped to the front of the Republican pack.
His willingness to stick to his beliefs.
But the biggest reason? His support among white evangelical Christians. They make up half of GOP primary voters, and 33% back Huckabee. Romney scores well on the most important GOP issue, immigration, but voters are wary of his religion. More than 1/3 have an unfavorable view of his Mormon faith.
Mormonism is not part of the fabric of Orthodox Christian belief. That doesn't mean that Mormons cannot be great leaders.
Good news for those at the bottom of the pack. Half of voters here, Republican and Democrat, still say they could change their minds. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Charleston.
Between spreading cheer and showing their softer sides, many of the candidates are clearly in a holiday mood, and that's tonight's CBS News Campaign 08 Notebook.
And I really hope that all of the presidential candidates can just get along.
Now showing in Iowa.
I was with you right up until that last one.
And we all have a stake in each other.
Barack Obama also thinks Iowa voters need a little Christmas, and he got a little help from his family.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
37 million Americans live in poverty.
John Edwards has a holiday video, too.
This is the season of miracles, of faith and love.
In this holiday ad, Hillary Clinton sorts through gifts to voters.
Where did I put universal pre-K?
And hopes to become warmer and fuzzier with these testimonials.
The Hillary I know saved my life.
He said, I don't care how long it takes. We're going to find her.
Mitt Romney is emphasizing his humanity in this ad in New Hampshire about his efforts to find a business partner's 14-year-old daughter who went missing in New York City.
But for me, the most important thing he's ever done is to help save my daughter.
Meanwhile, no rest for the weary. All the candidates will be working through the holidays, though they're expected to take Christmas Day off. Late breaking news tonight, Congress has just passed the first major new gun control bill in more than a decade. It comes in response to the deadly shooting rampage at Virginia Tech, and it's designed to keep guns out of the hands of the mentally ill. The bill requires tighter background checks for gun buyers. Meanwhile, there was a fire today next door to the White House at the landmark Eisenhower Executive Office building. It burned for half an hour on the second floor. Smoke and water damaged the offices of Vice President Cheney. He was at the White House. More than 1,000 people were evacuated from the building with no serious injuries. The smoke may have come from an electrical closet. There is much more CBS News ahead. The candidates have talked a lot about faith in this campaign. I asked them about faithfulness in our series Primary Questions, Character, Leadership, and the Candidates. Their answers next. Those running for president will be the first to tell you they're not perfect, but we wondered how much a marital indiscretion might matter to voters. In our latest poll out tonight, 2 out of 3 registered voters told us they'd vote for a candidate even if he or she had been unfaithful in marriage, as long as they agreed on most issues. 1 out of 3 said they would not. I asked the leading contenders about infidelity for our series Primary Questions, Character, Leadership, and the Candidates. 1 of 10 questions we put to each of them to help you get a better idea of who they are.
Harry Truman said, "A man not honorable in his marital relations is not usually honorable in any other." Some voters don't feel comfortable supporting a candidate who's not remained faithful to his or her spouse. Can you understand their position?
Look, this is really dicey territory. Let me say it this way. I think that one's character, one's honesty, one's integrity is a habit of the mind. I don't think people can be dishonest in one aspect of their life and compartmentalize it and be viewed as being honest in other parts of life. If the tendency is to cut a corner, if the tendency is not to tell the truth, the probability is that in a moment of crisis, where that person's interests are at stake, they're likely to revert to the bad tendencies. If voters make decisions relative to their leaders based on their needs, the single most important thing they're looking for is resilience. Someone who can take a hit and get back up and move on.
I think it's up to each person's personal view of the individual, and everybody has a different view. I say that because you and I know that there have been some leaders in American history, latest information about Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I happen to still think that Franklin Delano Roosevelt was an important president at a time in our history when we needed some courage. And so that's just frankly a judgment that I leave to others.
I've been married to Barbara for 35 years. We've had our differences, our difficulties, but we've stayed together. But I think being faithful is an essential component of any relationship. It's whether a voter can trust you to be thinking about the common good as opposed to personal ambition or anything else.
Some of our greatest presidents haven't always been terrific husbands. And some who have been wonderful husbands have been rotten presidents. So, I think that other countries have typically taken a little more casual an approach when it comes to the personal lives of elected officials. And I think that there has to be some space for privacy. I mean, there are some people who might say that the fact that, I indulged in drugs when I was young disqualifies me. I mean, there are a lot of ways that you can apply that kind of morality. What I'm always hopeful of is that people judge our public servants based on their passion, their commitment, their public integrity, how they operate with that public trust.
Harry Truman once said, "A man not honorable in his marital relations is not usually honorable in any other." Some voters say they don't feel comfortable supporting someone who's not remained faithful to his or her spouse. Can you understand or appreciate their point of view?
Well, I can certainly understand why some people would feel that way, and that is their perfect right to do so. But I think that would be a tough standard for most of American history to be able to meet when we look at people who've made a big difference in our country. I think there's more to someone's honor and integrity and to their public service. I think sometimes we confuse the private and the public in ways that are not necessarily useful. So, of course, it's a deeply personal matter that I take personally. But I think on the public stage, there are a number of people who have represented our country, led our country, accomplished great achievements on behalf of our country, who might have some challenges in their personal life, but have made a great contribution.
Of course. I mean, for a lot of Americans, including the family that I grew up with, I mean, it's fundamental to how you judge people and human character, whether you keep your word, whether you keep what is your ultimate word, which is that you love your spouse and you'll stay with them. I think the most important qualities in a president in today's world are trustworthiness, sincerity, honesty, strength of leadership. And certainly that goes to a part of that. It's not the whole thing, but it goes to a part of it.
Well, I'm certainly faithful to my spouse. I'd rather be with Ann than any other person in the world. I know other people, I've had other circumstances. If a marriage doesn't work, if people really can't get along, if they end up really disliking each other, then I guess it's appropriate to go find a new relationship or move away from marriage. But I do that. I would recommend people doing that in an honorable way.
Well, what do you think of people who base their judgment, at least partially, on a candidate's ability to remain faithful to his or her spouse?
You know, I let people look at me any way they want to. I'm not going to give advice to the American people in which aspects of a person's life they look at. I think people should be able to do what they want to do and express their own views when they get into the voting booth. I'm not going to tell them how to do that.
Everybody's got to make up their own mind about that. I think that you can evaluate a candidate any way you want to. It's a free country. There are a lot of things that go into it. Nobody's perfect. Everybody has weaknesses and has made mistakes one time or another in their life. But everybody's got to decide for themselves what they want to consider that go into making up the leader that's going to have to deal with these problems in the country.
If you violate the promise that you made to the one person on earth to whom you're supposed to be closest to, and this vow was made in front of your families, your closest friends, and God, and you don't keep that, then can we trust you to keep a promise that you made to people you don't even know? It does come to the matter of, I think, whether the general population will trust you, and that if what you're saying is really true. They may believe that what you do is a good thing. It's just they may not believe that what you say is necessarily the truth.
The only thing I can say to people is, I'm not perfect, you know, and I've made mistakes in my life, and not just in that area, in other areas, and I try to learn from them. I feel sorry about them. I try to learn from them so I don't repeat them. Sometimes I even repeat them, and then you try again. I mean, so I have maybe a more generous view of human beings, a more generous view of life. I mean, it comes from growing up as a Catholic. I mean, we're all sinners. We're all struggling. We're all trying hard. We ask for forgiveness, and then we try to improve ourselves again. And I relate to other people that way. I relate to the world that way.
If you'd like to hear more of the responses, you can go to cbsnews.com. You'll find the video posted under primary questions. And this series will continue with more questions and responses after the holidays. Now, the CBS News Money Watch. Congress today approved a temporary fix for the dreaded alternative minimum tax. The fix, good for just this year, spares taxpayers with incomes between $75,000 and $200,000 from having to pay a tax originally meant only for the very wealthy. It will save those taxpayers an estimated $2,000. And this will help save the environment. President Bush today signed an energy bill that raises fuel economy standards for cars and light trucks for the first time in 32 years. The new average 35 miles a gallon by 2020. It also pumps up production of ethanol from 6 billion gallons a year now to 36 billion in 15 years. And talk about alternative fuel. A powerboat that runs on human fat will attempt to set a round-the-world speed record next year. The boat, called Earth Race, usually runs on fuel made from vegetable oil or animal fat. But for this race, the captain and 2 volunteers underwent liposuction, and several pounds of their fat was turned into fuel. Okay. Coming up next, a photographer who will do just about anything to put a smile on a kid's face.
Peekaboo, tickling, bribery.
As the years go by, it's nice to look back at those Christmas pictures of the kids. So cute, all smiles. And with the passage of time, you might even forget the smiles often began with tears. Here's Anthony Mason.
Like all those holiday carols and bells, it's one of the traditional sounds of the Yuletide season. The holiday photo meltdown. Sure, you know the scene. The photographer coaxing, the parents coaching, the kids not cooperating.
It's stressful.
It is very stressful. I'm not gonna lie.
Alex Brock is a photographer with Kitty Candids. Between Thanksgiving and Christmas, they snapped 2.5 million of these pictures, doing whatever it takes to put a happy face on your holiday card.
So what's in your bag of tricks?
Oh gosh, peekaboo, tickling, bribery. I cross my eyes a lot. That makes kids happy.
It's a job that requires the patience of Job, because everyone wants that perfect picture.
Stevie looks like he's in pain.
My teeth were showing.
Who's tougher to deal with, the kids or the parents?
I'd say the parents for sure.
Parents.
While the parents get worked up,
Don't fall asleep
for me.
The kids get worn down. And what are you supposed to do if your star keeps tipping over, or starts chewing her shoe, or can't keep her hat on straight? And if getting one smile isn't hard enough, try getting two.
Here we go.
Or three.
Come down a
Or
little
four.
bit.
Please, on my arm.
But like Santa, Brock delivers, even when it seems hopeless.
Do you have to have a special temperament to do this job?
Definitely.
So take a tip from the pros. Relax. Somehow those holiday cards will get out again this year, if you can just snap Santa out of his nap. Anthony Mason, CBS News, Totowa, New Jersey.
Aw, that's the CBS Evening News. I'm Katie Couric. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. So cute. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, click on CBSNews.com.